Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Living in Northern California. And we're so excited because we have Money Mike back on our show today, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the new build space, new construction homes. But before we get started, Mike, you want to tell them to do
Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
what he meant was give a little
Oh,
love
yeah,
to
sorry.
that subscribe button. Good job. All right, so all the fun and games aside, let's talk about new home sales. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, so new home sales right now, so signed contracts, right? People that are going out to see new homes and signing contracts. So month over month, it has gone down a bit, about negative 5.6%.
Yeah.
But year over year, 17%
Up.
up signed contracts. So what does that mean?
People are buying.
People are buying.
Yeah. What happened to that real estate bubble that everybody's talking about?
I have no idea. Literally. And to give you more context on that, so what happened in 2008, right? The housing crisis. Pretty much what happened was a whole bunch of homes for sale, but no buyers, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of inventory. Now we only have about 3.6 months of inventory, and inventory since then has always been an issue. But we have a whole bunch of people that want to buy.
Yeah.
So.
So in comparison to 2008 to today, obviously, I'm hearing that sales are actually down just like they were in 2008, not because of a crash, but because lack of inventory and interest rates. We are still seeing prices kind of creeping up a little bit in certain areas. We do see a little bit of a pullback on some of the homes that have been sitting on the market, and obviously builders are giving incentives, but comparing 2008 to today, what should people know about, and because the media is always talking about like the bubble's gonna burst, and they've been saying that for years, right?
I think even after the housing crisis, they were saying that in 2010, 11,
Yeah.
13, it's the same thing. It's
For
crazy.
real, yeah. So, I mean, how do you explain the differences? And I know we've talked about this a lot before, but to ease the mind of people who are like, oh, real estate market is so high, it's gotta come down. Like, what's the differences between what it was in '08 and what it is now?
Definitely. So in 2008, right, home prices dropped dramatically, right?
Yes.
Home prices dropped. Comparing to 2008, right, and let's just say a rough number would say the average median home price was, let's say, in California, let's say it was 500,000. Now it's up like more than that. Property values have increased so much. Back in 2008, you could buy a property in San Leandro, the Bay Area, for 5, 6, 700,000.
man.
Now you cannot even buy a house in San Leandro, one that
At
needs a lot
all.
of work, for 700,000.
Right.
You're paying $800-900 million. San Lorenzo's $1 million.
Oh my gosh, we sold a house in Tracy for
Tracy's
$1 million.
crazy. Oh man. Yeah, Tracy Hills,
Yeah,
right there
yes,
off the 5
exactly.
freeway. Those are going over $1 million,
That's
and
just
you have no backyard.
crazy. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, things are just way different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? See, like I said, back in the day, a lot of inventory, no buyers. Now there's still people buying. Don't get me wrong. Home prices, interest rates have scared off, I would say a majority of the people, but there's still people taking this as an opportunity. Look at BlackRock, right? Which
Yes.
and Chase.
Yes.
They're buying a bunch of properties right now because that's the time to buy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, if these big investors are putting money into the market, there's obviously something that they know. So the media is always talking about like, oh, don't buy now. Prices are going to go down, this and that. One of the biggest differences between '08 and now is like loans are more stringent on like requirements. Like back in the day, we would do loans of people like stated income, stated assets. They didn't have to verify anything as long as they had a credit report or a credit score.
And you can breathe.
Yeah,
Had a
exactly, like a
pulse.
pulse. I mean, you could basically buy anything, and they had like crazy.
They call them Ninas.
Yes,
No income, no asset.
yeah,
So
exactly.
100% finance.
Nothing.
They call them subprime loans, which pretty much is like interest only,
Yeah.
and then negative amortization. But basically,
That one,
means,
it was in a whole nother thing
Yeah.
of itself. Like no
So-
one knew what that was. Like they were getting into these mortgages that were absurd, and they were like, "Oh, you can get me into a house for 2.8, back in '08, well, they didn't know that the difference in rate was actually adding to their value versus paying it down. And that's like, that was what was causing all the foreclosures, all the short sales, like the upside down. And that's what caused the crash.
Yep.
And we're not seeing that right now, right?
A lot of inventory, no buyers, right?
Right, right.
I mean, that's a great point. Like you were saying, there's more infrastructure now. They're more stringent on the qualifying, right? You have to have, minimum credit score of this amount. So you have to have, employer history for 2 years. Where prior to that, it was more lenient.
Oh, it was way lenient.
Way lenient. So now we have infrastructure where we don't see that happening anytime soon. And look at new home sales, 17% year over year increase.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's, I mean, people are out there buying, whether it's a resale or a new home. People have to make moves. And, and we're 17% of people are moving right now. And that's with a lack of inventory and high rates. So for a seller, there are people looking to buy a home. But what it does for you and for buyers out there who are in the market right now is, if you're a seller, you can sell your home and purchase another one. Whereas back in like 2021, people wouldn't even look at your offer because you still had a house to sell, right? Builders weren't looking at sellers who had to sell. Like, there was just not a thing. And now it's like, oh, you have a house to sell, cool, we'll accept your offer. We'll be a little flexible on closing date. And I mean, it's just like one of those markets where it's actually like normal now, right? Versus back then, there's just so much chaos. People were buying homes that they didn't even really like because of the interest rates and the demand and stuff. So with buyers now, you can take the time to find a home. You can negotiate whether it's a resale or new construction. I mean, what does it cost to like buy down rates nowadays?
So it really just depends on the amount that you're buying for. But as Rose was mentioning, there's a whole bunch of credit out there where we can actually, sellers are willing to negotiate, right? Builders are giving these incentives. I mean, I had a client earlier this year that bought in the Luca Homes in Antioch.
Yeah.
It was already a built home. They did $100,000 price reduction from $689 to $589.
Wow.
And so brand new home, beautiful community. So
and Luca's a great.
They're a great builder. So there's opportunities out there, right? And just to give you some statistics, you can never say that word right. The end of September, and this is throughout the nation of the United States. So stage of construction, so not started is 106,000. Under construction is 250,000. These are homes. And then completed are 76,000. And that's in nationwide. So, and you guys are here in Rockland, Sacramento area. How much is building, builders out here? There's a whole bunch of builders, right?
There's tons. I mean, you go out to Roseville. I mean, Rockland is kind of almost done. I mean, there's only certain areas like our area, but Roseville, I mean, you drive out to like West Park, there's like empty land just waiting to be built. And the cool thing about that is like it brings brand new schools, brand new parks, diversity. I mean, there's just so much. I mean, Folsom, Rancho Cordova, there's a ton. And if you guys are looking in these areas, we did a video breaking down the different areas in the Sacramento region where we're seeing a lot of growth. But I mean, yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to get into the real estate market. But one thing I do want people to know is like, okay, so Mike, people, their affordability is down right now because interest rates are in like the 7%, right? So let's say, oh, I can't buy a house for more than $500,000 because rates are so high. But like people are not thinking about the buy downs. So if a seller can give you like $15,000-$20,000 credit, you can probably buy your rate down to like low 6.
Possibly. Yeah, it really
or
just
even
depends.
the 2-1 buy down. But what does that do for your affordability? Like for each percent rate that you buy down, isn't it like $100,000 more or something?
It increases. Yeah.
Yeah.
It increases. Also, too, look at your debts, right? So instead of buying a brand new car, because right now the average car loan is about $700 a month.
Yeah.
So $700,000 a month in a car payment equals to about $100,000 in purchasing power,
Yeah.
right? So, keep in mind of that. Would you rather have a car or a house?
I
Right?
mean, I'd rather drive a bucket to come home
Yeah.
to the house. So
Then you can buy the
just
car
me.
after, right? You can buy the car after.
Yeah. So here's a story. So we had a client who had really low credit score. She worked with a lender to bring her and her husband's credit score up.
Mhm.
They were able to buy a house within a year. And guess what? Because they fixed their credit after they bought their home, they were able to get rid of their older car because they had a really high interest rate, get into a nicer luxury car for a little bit less than what they were paying on that bucket car that they had before. So it's like you're setting yourself up for like your future with getting your credit cleaned up, saving some money, getting things in order, and then all the other things come to play after that.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Definitely. Always buy the house first, then you can buy everything else after that, right?
Yeah.
Appliances, all that stuff. But main thing is buying the house first, and then buying that dream car that you like.
Yes, for sure. And so, what are some of the tips that you have for people? So before we end this video, obviously people are out buying homes, but what are some of the tips that you have for someone who's thinking about like, hey, I do want to get into home. I don't know how to get started, or I can't afford to buy a home. I'm paying this much money in rent, and all the crazy like stories that people make up in their head about owning real estate.
To be honest, the first thing I was just tell you guys to do is just have a conversation with us, literally over the phone, because I will ask you questions to kind of get a general idea of what you can possibly qualify for. They'll rough numbers, and if it's in what you guys are looking for, then we can move on to the next stage, right? Do a soft credit pull pre-approval, right? Where your credit score is checked, but it has no impact at all, and you are able to look at homes with that pre-approval. Once we get in contract, which basically means you have a signed document from you and the seller, then we will pull your credits. But this is just a way to get closer, right? So talk to us first. From there, we can kind of do a path of home ownership and look at everything. Look at your income, look at your credits, look at your savings. A lot of people still to this day don't know they can pull out from your 401k.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you can pull that. Yeah, you pay interest on it, but you're paying yourself back.
Right.
So look at that.
And there's different programs that people don't know about. I mean, there's down payment assistance programs. Some cities have different grants. There's a lot of opportunity, but you don't know what they are until you talk to someone who can tell you about it. You don't know what you don't know.
Definitely.
Right?
Yep.
So I would definitely encourage people who are looking to get into the real estate market. This is something that you want to invest in your future, because over the long run, real estate has always increased in appreciation. When you're paying your mortgage, you're paying your debt down. So you're building equity while you're paying mortgage versus paying rent. You're paying someone else's equity down. So in the long run, you're really taking care of you and your future. So Mike, how can people reach you if they're looking to get into the real estate market?
So you guys can follow me on Instagram at moneymike_fairway. I'm also going to be creating a YouTube page. We'll have the same handle. And you can also reach out to Rose. Rose can connect us, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. All right, guys, we hoped you found some value in this video. We're going to continue to have Money Mike with us, help you guys build your real estate wealth with all of us. And if you have any questions about getting into the real estate market here in Northern California, make sure to give us a call or send us a text. We are so happy to always hear from you guys. And if you're new to our channel, make sure to give a little love to that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.
Peace.